Jerry, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Ah, I'm doing well. Sorry, this was the least organic thing possible for us. We kicked it off so strong, but I want to ask you, what's good, dough?
I drift, man. Even with everything that's kind of going on, life is pretty good, man. I can't really complain. But as far as what's good, though, I uh, I was at the tavern or the bar. I won't say any names right now. Yesterday with an electrician, and we got I got my pizza oven installed, ready to rock and roll. So things are moving forward as far as having an official operation. As much as I love making pizzas in my house, it was kind of time to scale and make it official. So that's as far as the question, what's good though. I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind because that was yesterday.
Hell yeah. That's going to set the stage for the rest of the show, but I definitely want to get to know you because you just seem like a very cool individual, a transplant to Portland, and I this is also just the first time I've ever interviewed someone doing tavern style pizza. When I reached out to you, I even called it a bar style, and you gracefully corrected me.
Yeah.
And I want to know,
There's
like,
a
what?
difference. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
what is the difference, man?
Yeah. So I mean, there are, as we touched on earlier before we actually started the actual podcast, there's so many different styles of pizza, and there are so many different styles of pizza that people don't even know, right? You kind of know, kind of what you grew up eating to
Right.
a certain degree, and then as you get older, maybe you travel and you try other different regional styles of pizza. But even certain cities have a specific style. Like if you've ever heard of Old Forge pizza, and I believe Old Forge is a town in I want to say Pennsylvania that does a specific style of pizza you can pretty much kind of only get there. But it's like a town of 2,000 people. And I think, or I could be totally butchering that. I apologize. But it's a smaller town that has like a ton of pizzerias that all do this one style of pizza, which is really, really cool. So bar style versus tavern style. Now there are going to be some things that overlap, some similarities, but there are obvious differences as well. And for me, when I think bar style, I'm thinking East Coast. So if
Right.
we're going to break it into kind of an area, I'm going East Coast. One of the other main differences for me is wedge cut.
Mm-hmm.
So tavern style, we cut our pizza in squares. Bar style is going to be wedge cut, so it's going to be cut in triangles. It is thin, it is crispy, so those are again kind of some similarities. But I would even say that bar style might even be a little crispier. Where tavern style, again, depending on the place you go to, because there are some subtle differences, and everyone does their interpretation of what that is. There is a chew element to it. So for me, biggest differences is regional bar style is more East Coast and wedge cut, and then there's maybe some we could split hairs and you know talk a little bit more about maybe some of the other differences, but for me that's kind of the difference where tavern style again is going to be more the Midwest region. For me specifically Chicago, and then thin, crispy, square cut. I do my pizzas well done. No substitutions. I apologize. That's just thin, crispy, square cut, well done. A little bit of a chew element. Uh, yeah, everything from scratch. I think that's important as well.
Okay. Keep educating me because I'm super interested. Thin crust is like the hype right now. Does it get down
Which is
to
funny. Wait, sorry to interrupt you. Which is hilarious to me because like I didn't, maybe I haven't educated myself on that because I don't like. I'm literally like the first person doing this in Portland, and then I
yeah,
looked and there's really nobody really doing this on the West Coast.
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple things here and there. I think that down in LA, there's like I want to say Giordano's or Gino's East,
Mm-hmm.
but that's they're known for deep dish and they're more of a chain. But yeah, it's funny that people have been telling me that like thin crust is in, and I'm like,
Yo,
really? When
thin
did
is
that
in.
happen?
It
When
happened
did this
after the
happen?
15 COVID 15, man. Everyone was eating Detroit style and they're like, I gotta keep eating pizza, but gotta keep the weight down. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I Pizzas, it seems like it's like as my boy Giovanni from King Umberto said, he's like, pizza is like fashion, and I see fashion as cyclical, and things just go in and out of what's in and what's not, right? And you're always gonna have the classics, and maybe to you, thin style is classic, but for people who are jumping around on the trends, They're going to want to get into this while it's hot and then move on, right? But for you, I think it's here to stay. I guess my question for you is, I want to learn more about the tavern style, but just real quickly, while I still have you on this topic, do you find that people who are buying your pizzas, like, are they local Midwesterners, and or are they people who are just generally curious? And what are their thoughts? Those who have never tried it before, do they love it?
So it's pretty crazy. So basically, it's everybody. So again, this all started because I'm from Chicago. My fiance is from Madison, Wisconsin. Grew up eating a similar style, thin square cut pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved out to Portland. She took a job with Nike. That's what brought us out to Portland from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then quarantine happened. So COVID happened, and we are. I'm like, we're gonna be working from home. So I'm gonna need a new hobby. I'm gonna need something to do to pass the time.
Right.
And I was like, we can't find pizza like we grew up eating out here. So maybe I can make a pizza for us. Cool. Maybe that'll be my new hobby. So at first I couldn't find yeast. So like you couldn't find yeast there. Everyone's making bread, so you can't find yeast anywhere. So I ended up going to Trader Joe's, and I got just a pre-made dough.
Mm-hmm.
And I made my first pizza. And I think this was, like I said earlier, I think it was the end of March or maybe early April of last year of 2020. And I made my first pizza with the pre-made dough, and it wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible.
Of course.
So I knew I could work on that. I knew I could improve that. So then Lauren, that's my fiance's name, by the way, she got on the Nextdoor app, and she just asked for yeast. And then a neighbor actually brought me yeast. So from that point on, then I was able to make my own homemade dough. And basically what I did was I just started going off of like, because I have no experience. I don't come from this industry. I have no experience doing this. I like to cook, but again, I don't have any experience doing this. So I looked up a couple of recipes. Then I made batches of everything, sauce, dough, sausage, everything. And then from that point on, I just started like tweaking everything to my liking. So I didn't really like a lot of the recipes. So I just start adding a little of this, taking a little that away, and just kind of messing around and tweaking things to like what I liked until I came up with something that I thought was pretty good. But that's kind of how this whole thing started. But to kind of answer that question, then I'm sure that we'll be all over the place during this conversation.
That's how we do it,
but yeah, to answer that question though, everybody, it's been really weird and very unexpected. Like I thought I was going to make a couple pizzas for Lauren and I, and then it just turned into this thing where right now we're over a 1.5 year wait list to get pizza out of my house.
Sick.
One thing is, you had mentioned selling. I don't currently sell the pizzas.
Excuse me, my bad.
No, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. I'm just letting you know I don't sell them. What I do is donations are always appreciated, but they're never necessary. It's like a tough times for a lot of people right now. If you can't afford a pizza for whatever reason, like no questions asked, I don't care. I'm going to make you a pizza. It's not a big deal. And then early on and everything, I was taking a good amount of money and I was donating it to some organizations as well. And then people started saying like, hey, save some of I'm donating to you. I want you to save money because I want more access to your pizza. So I want you to open something. So if I'm donating money, I want you to keep a cut. And it's great that it's great that you're doing that, but I want you to keep a cut because I want you to open a place. Now, going back to answer that question, who's reaching out to me? Who's asking for pizza? Is it Midwesterners, Chicagoans, or is it Portlanders and other West Coasters, or people from other parts of the country? It's been crazy. So there's obviously Midwesterners are reaching out all the time. Chicagoans. There's the nostalgia aspect. I have people that reach out and they're like, I've been here for 25 years. I'm from Chicago, and they tell me the neighborhood. They tell me like where they were born, what pizza place they grew up eating at or whatever. And I know all the places, which is cool. And they're like, I haven't had this pizza in 25 years. I cannot believe that you're bringing this pizza to Portland. And then, but for me, the coolest thing is, and one of my favorite parts about doing this is when you get those locals, when you get those Portlanders, they're like, what is this? And then they have it and they're like, this is my new favorite pizza in town, which is like very humbling again, because this was all unexpected and like, I don't have any experience. And to be honest, early on, I talked to this guy down in LA. He reached out to me and then we just kind of started talking on Instagram. Dough Daddy LA. I don't know if you've bumped into him or know who he is.
Not yet.
But he's doing Detroit style out of his house in LA, and it's kind of blown up and everything. But we kind of connected on like this whole imposter syndrome, because early on we both felt like we didn't have any experience, but now he's getting write-ups. People are telling him this is like their favorite pizza or the best pizza in LA for this style and everything. And it's just weird because even from early on, when I was just like, Lauren posted a picture to Instagram, and then her coworkers and friends were like, "Where'd you get that?" And then she said, "Oh, Jerry made it." And then they're like, "Can we have one?" So then, I started making pizzas kind of for her coworkers, and then for some of our neighbors and stuff, and then just saying like, "What do you guys think? Like, do you have any feedback? Is there anything I can improve?" But even really early on, the feedback was incredible. People loved the product, but the thing is, that's great, but for me, I wasn't convinced on it. I wasn't convinced on my product for, honestly, and I'm still, I'm always looking for ways to improve, but I wasn't convinced until I went home to Chicago. That was really because people from like, which is weird to say, from like the first 2 weeks into this thing, people are like, "This is like some of my favorite pizza in town."
Yeah.
And I'm making this in my kitchen with no equipment.
Right.
I have a rolling pin and a pizza stone. So what gave me confidence, because I didn't have much confidence, like I said, I had this imposter syndrome because, no experience. I'm not a chef. I'm not a pizza maker. I'm not a baker or nothing. And then I have all these people telling me like, "This is incredible." I'm like, is it incredible because I'm a guy in my house making pizza and it's cool? And, there's like, or is it incredible because you actually really like the product? And that was really hard for me at first to kind of understand and realize. But then I had local chefs and local pizza makers and people reach out and get pizza from me and tell me, "Hey man, this is really good."
Yeah.
So then I went back to Chicago in August and I went to 20 pizzerias in 5 days or something like that. I went to 20 pizzerias in like 5 or 7 days. And some that I've been to a number of times, others that I'd never been to. And Tavern style specifically, all Tavern style. I do half sausage, half pepperoni, every place I went to. And then I made pizzas for some friends. I made pizzas for some other people, and we kind of compared and everything. And that's what really gave me confidence, because everyone kind of agreed, and it was a unanimous decision that this pizza was as good as some of the people that have been doing it since the 40s and 50s in Chicago. So I came back to Portland. I kept making pizzas. I kept kind of making little subtle tweaks to my liking. And now we have a product that, every pizza that comes out, it's quality, it's consistent, which for me is most important, and that can never change. And that's where, now that it's getting real and I'm actually I'm making this official, the nerves kind of come back, where it's like, I've been in my house for the last 8, however many months making pizzas. Now there's actual pizza making equipment. Now there's scaling recipes. Now there's doing this at the commercial level, or doing this, officially, that I'm excited, but I'm also like, again, the product's most important. It needs to be the same. It needs to be, every time it needs to be the same. It needs to be quality. It needs to be consistent every single time. So now that I'm in a new environment, working on new, actual equipment, and having to do bigger batches of everything, I'm a little nervous. But at the same time, I feel like if I figured it out at home with no equipment, I can figure it out with actual pizza making equipment. So that's kind of where I'm at. But it's been cool, like just getting pizza into all different types of people's hands. Locals, people from the West Coast. My favorite review ever was a guy from LA who's never heard of the style, never heard of Tavern, doesn't know anything about it. He goes, I don't want to misquote him, but I think he said, "Yo, this pizza is equivalent to a Supreme drop." And I'm like, I think that's the nicest thing you can get from a guy from LA.
Seriously, Supreme drops
Comparing
are
your
rare.
pizza to Supreme.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like Supreme, like it's that cool brand where they sell
Yes.
bricks for like $500, and I don't
Yeah.
understand
And then
why.
people resell it for 1,000 or 2. Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, I must be an idiot. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not buying a brick that says Supreme for $500. Like, that's nuts.
No, definitely not. I was one of those crazy people who would wake up every Thursday morning at 8 to buy myself a new Supreme shirt with my unemployment money back in college. But
So you get it though, but you see, you're the
I
customer.
do.
You understand. Okay.
100%. That stuff is like you got to be on top of it. You once you get it, it's highly coveted, and if you end up getting the product, you can't return it, but say you wanted to get rid of it somehow, someone would easily take it off your hands. So it's high demand, and that's what they're defining your pizza as, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
And another thing, it's kind of off topic, somewhat on topic, but that's okay, is along the lines of like kind of building confidence through this process,
Yes.
and actually believing that we have something that's a great product was you know right now, if I were to continue in my house at my current rate, I looked yesterday as I was kind of looking through my Excel sheet and whatever, is it's over a year and a half to get pizza, which is stupid. So that's again one of the reasons why I'm opening an official place, is because nobody should have to wait a year and a half to get a pizza. I don't care. Like the pizza's not that good. Like I think I make a good pizza. Like I don't understand what like a year and a half, like that's ridiculous. But what I learned through this process as well is I initially again thought, oh, people have to wait 3 months to get a pizza or 4 months or five. Right now, I think where I'm at is people have waited 6 months. The pizzas I'm putting out now, people have waited 6 months to get. That's kind of where I'm at in this whole process. And I'm like, and this is more kind of early on, like, well, do people like the pizza because they waited 4 months and it's a guy in his house? So it adds like this cool like hype, like you build this hype, and then are people liking the pizza because of that? Well, what I actually learned, because again, these are people I don't know. These are random people. There's no bias. They're not friends of mine. They're not going to just butter me up. And I tell people, every person that gets pizza from me, to this point, they answer a couple questions. Just kind of doing some research, and they answer a couple questions. I ask them to be brutally honest, like beat this up, because if you just want to give me compliments, that's not going to help me.
Right.
I mean, thank you, I appreciate it, but that's not going to help me to make the best product for the people. So it's like, beat it up, like give me feedback, give me something I can work with, constructive criticism, like beat this pizza up, because that's what's going to help me when I actually open a place. And so I was like, yeah, people are just liking this product because they wait, 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months to get this pizza.
It's exclusive.
I actually learned it's the complete opposite through this process. People are waiting 5, 6 months. They're setting their expectations so high that the product of the pizza doesn't actually perform, they'll be like upset. So people are, but again, what's built a little bit of confidence is people are getting the pizza and they're like, hey man, I'm not gonna lie. Like I had somebody like a couple of weeks ago was like, I'm from New York. And New Yorkers, man, I love you guys, but they think that New Yorkers are like, I know pizza. Like
right.
I'm from New York.
Everyone
like, I
knows
know
pizza, bro.
That's it's like honestly it's so funny because like it's where you're from. Like all of us, like I'm an idiot. I'm like no man, like Chicago, it's the best. Like go to this place, and then you got people from New York that are like, no, you're wrong. New Haven, Connecticut. It's like no, True Coal Fire in New Haven, Frank Pepe's, Modern, Sally's, just the best. All these places, and it's funny because, and now we're not talking about the product, but like that's a whole other conversation around pizza. Is like the fun banter between like cities and regions and
going head to head.
poking fun at one another but going back to it, it's like, no, people are waiting 6 months. They're like, this pizza better be good, or like this, waiting 6 months building this hype. And this New Yorker was like, hey man, I had high expectations because I waited for so long, but it exceeded the expectations that I'd set for myself. So
wow.
Those little things are what really has helped to kind of build that confidence. And I'm still not convinced, right? Like, I don't know if you ever are, because for me, it's like you're only as good as your last pizza.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important to make every pizza great, because how
many are you planning to do at your store? Like when this opens up, do you know?
It's tough because I'm not sure yet. In my mind, it's 40 pizzas a day.
Okay. Interesting.
It could be more, it could be less. I'm not sure yet. Mm-hmm. Until I get into the space and I start, scaling those recipes, dealing with the space that I have, and then what I can do by myself, because I'm starting this thing solo. I'm not hiring anybody. I might get 2 weeks in and be like, crap, reevaluate. I need some help. I need somebody, and I may have to, then look into that. But to start, I'm going to try to do this thing myself. and I won't say it officially, I guess, but I'm going into an existing tavern in Portland. So there's an existing tavern not too far from where I live in Southeast Portland, and I'm going into. They have this small little kitchen area. I got my dough sheeter, I got my oven, and I got my mixer and everything, and I'm going into this little space, and that's kind of where I'm starting and how I'm starting is within an existing tavern,
That's
which
smart.
is which is kind of cool, and it's a pretty cool tavern too. It really reminds me kind of home. It's kind of a neighborhood dive, which Chicago is a city of neighborhoods, and it's and they're just your neighborhood spots, not even on the main streets. They're just, you got all these houses, it's all residential, and then you got this tavern, on the
Yeah.
corner or something. And same with living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You had a lot of that as well. Milwaukee, I don't know if you've been to Milwaukee, but it's a city. I mean, it's a city of bars, man. It is a city. It is a true drinking culture, for better or worse. But yeah,
So,
and I highly recommend Milwaukee for you as well to get to. And if you get to Milwaukee or Chicago or even Minneapolis, some of these Midwest cities, just let me know, and I'm happy to give you some like tavern style or like Midwest. We can call it Midwest style, I guess, pizza.
I'm a big traveler. I know you are too, and my goal is to hit all 50 states one day, and all 7 continents, and branch off from there. Definitely, for sure. I'd love to talk to you about
Get some
travel.
pizza in Antarctica.
Get one there, make one there, either or. I'm down.
Yeah, right.
I think it's super smart that you're. So let me guess. I presume that you are going kind of like pop up style, where the kind of infrastructure is already in place. You're not signing a lease or anything, but the only thing you're really putting up is the equipment and yourself and your time, and um but you're not like, is that right so far
Yeah, for the most part. I mean,
with it?
I purchased some equipment to scale, and yeah, I mean,
Yo,
we put that in, like I said yesterday. The when you asked the initial question of what's good dough, that was actually, now that I think about it, it was like such a bad answer, because I listened to like a couple other your podcasts, and people have like awesome answers where they're actually talking about dough, but then
no.
they're also talking about like their life and what's going on and what's good in it, I guess. And then my answer is like, I panicked. I'm like, I don't,
I love it
there's
when
no,
people panic. The truth
I'm like,
comes
I'm like,
out.
yeah, but it's funny. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I guess there was an electrician that installed a circuit so we could actually put my 60 amp, which is also hilarious because it's just my oven is a 4 deck countertop electric baker's pride. So
It's
there's just
tiny.
4 pizzas I can have going at one. And then I got my dough sheeter, like I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the equipment's in. I mean, I have a very small space, but that's what I'm comfortable in. I've been doing this in my
No,
house with
that's
not
so
much space,
good.
so it's almost like making it official, but still being in this little area and having to like
No,
figure
I'm
it
so
out.
happy for
So
you.
no, I appreciate it, man. It's like I said, it's just funny. Like this whole thing is just like weird to me. How
Well,
it's just really unexpected. That's all. I just
my job
yeah.
here is to not only learn from others but share from others, and if I can help people too, that'd be amazing, right? And when you were telling me your story, I was like, man, this guy's so driven, so passionate. I know he's going to hit hard, but I also know that people with like huge dreams, people who take on too much, like run into their hubris later and they're like, fuck, I missed this step. And I thought you were going to open this like big old restaurant, go double down on your 15-month wait list. And I was like, shit, have you even done a pop-up with like, 100 people before? Because that's kind of what a full service restaurant is. But then when I find out that you're at a tavern, something that's already existing, something that
Yeah.
already has people that go there, and then you're basically just feeding your wait list there. And now that I'm hearing that people love the product, dude, I think you're good, bro. Like,
No, I appreciate it, but there's always that little guy on your shoulder. There's
oh,
like the left and the right from the cartoons where you got like the devil on one side
of
and then
course.
like God on the other, and it's like they're just like playing in your head. It's like I feel like I've done enough research. I put so much time and energy into, like, I was making pizza every day, eating it, being like needs this or needs that, and tweaking these recipes, and to my liking. Like I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but it's like I ask for feedback and I generally appreciate feedback. And I've taken some of the feedback I've gotten from people and I've implemented that into like some of the changes I've made along this journey. But at the end of the day, to be honest, and again, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, it doesn't really matter because I'm making something that I like. like the whole, it's like, it's important, that feedback. But again, I took basically my favorite places from back home, the things I liked from each of those, and then created a product that kind of takes a little bit of that. I use heavy cornmeal. You know, that's the one thing that maybe I should work on, because the only feedback I feel like I get from people at this point is like maybe a little less cornmeal on the base. But for me, it's like, take your finger, go like that. It falls right off. It's not a big deal. But but again, I'm just trying to make something like
that you enjoy.
Yeah, that I enjoy, and then you just hope that others enjoy it. Like I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like, no substitution. Like, this is how I do the pizza. Like, I do it thin, crispy, square cut, well done. You can build your own. I'm gonna have 6 set specialty pizzas, and that's kind of what I do for now. And again, you can make changes later and you can tweak things, but like you said, it's like that's not the right word. That would be still not silly. Silly's not the right word either. Either way, to open some huge brick and mortar or something at this point, because one, I have no experience.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
for me, it's like to go into an existing tavern that already exists, and then just, I think the biggest thing is going to be is kind of managing essentially expectations of like how this is going to work. Because what I'd like to do is, initially, I'd like to be able to give the people that have been waiting on my wait list kind of first dibs. And I'm working out logistics of how I can make that work realistically. And then just the general public and things like that. So again, these are all things I need to figure out. And I just really, really hope that people kind of, you know, the consumer kind of works with me there. Again, I'm going to do my best to manage expectations and be like, this is what I do. I do 40 pies a day. They're all pre-order. They're all I'm going to try to, you know, release something Sundays, hopefully sell out by Monday for the next week. That's what I have in my mind. That's how I'm going to do it. That may not work. I may have to reevaluate, you know, a week or 2 weeks or a month in. But for me, it's like, okay, we pre-sell these things. You can come in. You can dine in. If you want to dine in, have a beer, whatever, hang out, that's great. If you're more comfortable, because we're still, you know, if you're more comfortable taking the pizza to go, that's great too. But kind of pre-selling everything and letting people know, again, I am doing this all myself. Everything is handmade. I make my own sausage from scratch. These things take time, and just I really, really hope that people understand that, like, you know, I'm doing my best, and I'm, you know, trying to, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I literally don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You hear it all the time. You write a business plan, and then the minute, you know, things start up, you throw it out the door. But I think it's still good to get prepared, write up a few systems. How many pies are you doing now? And this is this is part of a follow-up question for you. How many pies are you doing right now?
I can probably do at most I can do like 5, 6, but that's because I work until I work full time. So basically what I do is I make dough, sausage, sauce, or something like early in the morning. I'll work during the day, and then I'll start making pizzas at night.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all I could do at this point.
Is that a
night? And you got to think, what's that?
Is that per night?
Yeah. So the thing too is, like, again, I told you, like, I just have like a oven, my kitchen. Like, it's not like, this isn't made for pizza. So I have a pizza stone because I need bottom heat for the style that I make. But other than that, I don't really have anything. So I can't really make more than like one at a time.
Right.
I mean, you could put 2 stones and do 2 at a time, but
it's not the same.
I mean, kind of, yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now.
I guess my question for you is how are you going to make sure that the people who are drinking at the tavern can try your stuff too? And here's my suggestion.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure, because that's the biggest thing I need to figure out. Like, I don't know how I'm going to manage, like, just people that are in the bar,
right? So,
that are like, oh man, there's pizza here. I want pizza. It's like, well, you actually got to do this to get pizza. And
so if you're doing 5 or 6, right? I don't know if it's on a weekday, on a weekend, but if you like even just double or triple that number at the tavern, that already cuts your wait list in half or by a third. But then you reserve some pizzas for the people at the tavern to get them interested. Or what I'm thinking is you make the whole pizza, but you serve it in quarters so that they still get the crust, they still get the middle part, and then you can just give them out to people drinking. I don't know.
Light bulb. Thank you.
quarters, halves. I don't know, man, but that doubles
No,
your pie, triples your pie.
dude, Idris, you're the man. Check this out. Tell me what you think of this. All right.
Yes, let's go.
So I was talking with a friend last night and we came to kind of the conclusion. I got to talk to the bar owner and everything is like, if I can, once I get in there, I start working, I start running some tests and everything. And I figure, okay, realistically, I can do 40 pies. That's what I can do per day. Now, like I said, I'm going to have to pre-sell. I'm going to try to do my best logistically to make it possible to people that have been on the wait list have kind of first dibs. But then also, okay, so you pre-sell a week in advance, but people that are dining in, and this is going into the history of Tavern Style, which we haven't even touched on. Maybe I have a couple pies that I make and I just set them on the bar for the people that are sitting there drinking. No cost, just have a couple slices. It's communal, grab a slice, whatever, which it's tough right now because again, Tavern Style is communal pizza.
It
the
is.
history of the style, which I'll tell you a little bit about is in a second, but the issue right now is it's just a weird time and eating off the same thing with strangers and stuff, which it sucks, but it's a weird time.
Not
And
cool. It's not
until
kosher
people are
right now.
comfortable. Yeah, until people are comfortable. But I like that because do you know a little bit about the history of like the style, like Tavern Style pizza?
I know a little bit, but please educate me and the listeners.
Yeah, no, for sure. So like, and I'll try to kind of summarize it to a certain degree, but and I'm going to use Chicago. I'm going to use the city of Chicago as an example. The same things are probably happening in other cities across the Midwest, but Chicago's always been a blue collar city. At one point in time, you have like the stockyards right on the south side. It's the biggest meat packing area in the world. But I digress. So basically, Tavern Style, you had taverns and bars across the city, and again, one of the reasons why I identify with the style, one, because I grew up eating it, but two, because they weren't bakers, they weren't chefs, they weren't bread makers. These were tavern and bar owners that just wanted a way to bring people in to drink at their establishment, but then to also keep them around. So what they did was they started making thin pies, cutting them in squares and setting them down their bar. So then people could come up, grab a slice. You didn't even need plates. You didn't need anything. You just use your hand. That's your plate right there.
I love that.
So then you take a little square right there. You have a beer in one hand. And again, this is back in like don't quote me on this, but I mean, we're talking 30s, 40s.
Right.
Tavern Style was before Deep Dish. Deep Dish, I believe, was 43. Don't quote me. And that was Uno's downtown Chicago, which still exists. Uno's and Due across Kitty Corner. They were the creators of Deep Dish. So for anyone who's listening who thinks Chicago's a deep dish town, deep dish originated in the city of Chicago. There's no debating that. That's where the style originated. However, locals eat tavern style, thin, crispy, square cut. That's what people in Chicago eat. So again, going back to like how I identify with that is I don't come from with any experience being a chef, a baker, bread maker. I started making pizzas, you know. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the history of it. But for me, it's just like so cool because I've learned through this process too, which is pretty insane. Is like it's more than pizza, man.
Oh yes.
Like I've had people, I've had people, and I don't want people to like take this the wrong way or anything. Anyone who's listening, but I've had people cry when they pick up a pizza, and I'll tell you an example. I had this guy. He rolled up to get this pizza. And he was just decked out in Chicago Bulls gear. And I was like, hey man, did you put that on just to pick the pizza up? And he's like, yeah. So I come out of my house and I serve my pizzas in bags, which is pretty traditional in Chicago to get a pizza in a bag.
Cool.
Yeah. So I come down, and then I will say too, there's a very distinct smell that the pizza I don't know if it has to do with a little bit of the bag and how it, the smell kind of comes through. So you're getting like this paper bag mixed with like pizza. There's this specific type of smell. And this guy rolls up. I'm just like over here. I mean, I was like, look at me. I was like a cartoon character. And then I'm wearing my mask or whatever. And then I go to hand him this pizza, and he just starts kind of like carrying up. And I'm like, oh, hey man, like all good, like whatever. He's like, yeah, sorry, it's just like the bag, like the smell and everything, it just kind of hit me. And And me and my dad used to get pizzas on, I think he said like pizzas on Fridays or something all the time. And his dad passed away a few years ago. So the smell and just the bag and just everything that it probably, I'm assuming it kind of brought him back home, and it just brought back memories. And then that was kind of when the light bulb went off as far as, wow, we might have something more than pizza here. It might be like an experience, and it adds nostalgia to people back in the Midwest or from Chicago that couldn't get the style of pizza. And like I mentioned, I have people reaching out that have been here 30 years that are like, I haven't been able to get pizza like this since for 30 years. So, and then I'll tell one more short story, if you don't mind, in regards to kind of what made me think that maybe it's more than pizza. It's an experience. Is I had this woman, she had reached out. I got like a DM on Instagram one morning, and it was like time stamped at like, I don't know, 3 or something, like 3 in the morning or something. And started off something like, hey Jerry, like I've been drinking wine all night, so it just gave me the confidence to like reach out to you or something like that. But I had your pizza like a couple of weeks ago. A friend got a pizza from you or something. I had it. It was awesome. And my mom, I've been doing at-home hospice with my mom, and my mom used to live in Chicago. And I told her about the pizza, and then now every day she asks about the pizza. When's the pizza? When's the pizza? When's the pizza? And I'm like, well, shit. Can you pick up pizza tomorrow? Like it's like yeah, I'm not gonna make you wait. Like, can you pick up pizza tomorrow? Like, let me get you a pizza for you and your mom. Like, let's do that. So she comes and gets this pizza, and then she brings it home, and then she hits me back a couple hours later. She's like, hey, my mom, she had more. I haven't seen her eat that much in like, I can't remember the last time she ate that much. And then the coolest thing is, her mom started telling her daughter all these stories about her time in Chicago that she had never heard before. So like, I'm like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like, and then her mom passed away a couple of weeks later. So I'm like, okay, cool. Pizza's great, whatever. But if it can trigger these memories, and then tell, basically this mom, she's been doing at-home hospice care with her mother. And then her mom has pizza. Pizza brings back memories, tells stories to daughter that she'd never heard before her entire life. Mom has never told her those stories about in Chicago. And then she like passed away, which is sad. But like, I don't know. Does that make, like, it just kind of, I'm like, holy cow, we may have something more than pizza. I don't know.
I think you do. That is two of the most, not ridiculous, that's the wrong words, like,
Yeah, I don't
just
know.
moving stories I've ever heard. I always talk about nostalgia on the show, but that one hit different. And it's like you're scratching your own itch for your pizza. It's self-serving to you, but you realize later that it's not for you. It's for everyone else who needs your pizza, who needs that taste of home, who needs that outlet to be able to talk to their loved ones about their time in Chicago. That is a beautiful, rare thing that you have here. And going back to imposter syndrome that you have, like, dude, just you telling me that story, like, I don't know what other experience you have running a pizzeria or whatever, but when it comes to pizza itself, you are not an imposter, bro. This is your style. This is who you are, and you're telling your story through it, and I love that. Major ups for you
No,
doing what you're doing.
100%, 110% truth. Like, I was just trying to make pizza for Lauren and I, because we couldn't find it. Like, that's literally all I was trying to do, was make pizza for Lauren and I. That's it. New hobby. We're at home all the time. I can make pizzas, and then it just turned into this thing. And then for me, I've learned, it's like if I can bring back memories like that for people, if I can offer this experience, if I can, then we haven't even touched on introducing this style. We did maybe a little bit to people that have never had or never even heard of it, which is a lot of Portlanders, but then also people that are from California that live here, or Washington, or I've had East Coast people. I get a lot of East Coast people that are like, that maybe New Jersey bar style or something, or other people from like Connecticut. I mean, all over. Then we're talking down south, Texas, Florida, where all different regions who aren't familiar but have gotten it and are like, this is like one of my favorite pizzas in town. So again, it started from nothing. Like, I was just trying, and now it may, what? At the end of the day, it may end up being nothing. I may start making pizzas, and a year in, it's like nobody wants it. Well, you know what? I'm right back where I started. I'll figure it out. Like, but I just really, really hope that not hope, I know we will, but it's just a matter of time to when people can gather, strangers can talk, in like, because that's what tavern style is to me. It's communal pizza. It's about sitting down at your local neighborhood tavern, having a no frills blue collar pizza, because that's what this is. Do I use high quality ingredients? I put a lot of time and effort into developing these recipes and stuff, of course. But at the end of the day, man, this is no frills, man. This is just thin square cut pizza. You set it, you put it on the bar. You have a couple old style, or a couple beers, cheap beers with it, and you talk, and you watch a game. You do whatever. You talk to a stranger. It doesn't matter. That's what it is. And I can't wait for the day where that is what it like. That's the experience again. Is people, whether friends, families, and this is one thing. What I'm stoked about is whenever families get the pizza, the kids love it, which is very important to me because kids don't lie. So if kids are digging the pizza, I had a kid, he was like 7. He was eating sausage and jardiniere pizza. It's like spicy pickled veggies. So there's cauliflower, carrots, and traditionally, I mean, there's different ways of doing it, but a lot of Chicago, places like Marconi and stuff are, I believe, using soybean oil. But you can do it in olive oil, stuff like that. But again, that's you put that stuff on anything. I guess that's what jardiniere is. But that's funny that, like, to me, it's like, wait a second, spicy pickled veggies with like sausage on a pizza, and you got like a 7-year-old just like downing slices.
That 7-year-old kid knows taste, man. I love pickled veggies on anything. Like,
for sure.
If a different culture, cuisine has that on the table, I'll eat the whole thing, man. It's delicious.
Yo, you know what I've been seeing lately? Speaking of that, is like, this might be like a new trend or something. I haven't even had it yet, but somebody like sent me something. Is like I want to say like Indian pizza place. We're doing like chicken tikka masala, like
it's been going
like pizza and stuff. Like, have you heard of this?
Oh, it's huge in the Bay. I feel like
really
the first chicken pizza I had was like chicken tikka masala I had was probably in 2015, 2016. Yeah, there's this big chain here in the Bay Area where they used to actually license a round table, and so they would make round table pizza. That's the pizza that I grew up on, maybe fortunately or unfortunately. But
whatever.
What they ended up doing was they took the round table crust and the recipe and then added their Indian flavors on it. And dude, this chain is huge now in the Bay Area. And it just, every time I eat it, it reminds me of round table pizza. So they kind of got me a little bit.
But that's what's cool. Also, again, we've touched a little bit on like pizza, the actual product or whatever. And then we talked about maybe like the experience and things like that. But we haven't even really touched on like, of course, maybe I'm somewhat of a traditionalist when it comes to tavern style pizza,
sure,
and what I think that is and what that is to me. And I might poke fun. I have fun with people all the time. People hit me up like, will you put pineapple on pizza? I'm like, hell no, not a chance. I don't put pineapple on pizza. That's a no. Do I actually really care? No, man. I'm just having fun with it. So at the end of the day, that's what's super cool, is that like you can do anything with pizza. It's the most customizable, like, maybe not the most, but it's a very customizable, like, if that's even a word, customizable, but food item where you can do anything. Like, the options are endless, like the things you can do with pizza. And I think that's really cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just end up at the end, and I'll eat anything. I love food, all different types of food I'll try anything. But there are things I gravitate towards, and I gravitate towards what is familiar to me and what I ate growing up. Steve Dolinsky, have you heard or have you read his book, which is mostly just pictures? It's like my favorite book. I just look at the pictures.
No, I haven't.
Is Pizza City, USA.
Uh-huh.
And essentially in that book, his thesis is why Chicago is the best pizza city in the United States of America. It's because we have 10 different distinct styles of pizza within that city. Another thing he touches on in the book is Pegue syndrome. Pegue syndrome, which is Pigue.
Okay.
Pizza I grew up eating.
Okay.
So pizza I grew up eating syndrome,
like
where you have people from like the North Shore, so the North suburbs of Chicago, they're like Barnaby's. Barnaby's is the best pizza in the world. Nobody beats Barnaby's. Barnaby's is the best. And you got people on the South that are like Palermo's is the best pizza. I won't eat anything else. But it's just funny. And again, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't care what people put on pizza. Have fun with it. That's what's cool about food. You can do anything with it. And at the end of the day, to me, what's most important is, does it taste good? Is it enjoyable? You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of how I look at it.
Absolutely. You have to make a product that people like and love. And at the end of the day, who cares? You like and love it.
Yeah. And that's where I had a pretty well-known chef. I won't say names or anything, but I believe it's one like a James Beard and stuff, which there's been some other experience I've had with this whole process where people have reached out and like, I didn't know who they were. And I'm just like, yeah, I can get you on my wait list, whatever. Like, it's cool. And they're still on the way. I don't make like special trade. It's like, I don't care. I'll make anybody a pizza, but I learned that a blue check mark means you're somebody. So I made a pizza for this chef, and I was like nervous, right? I'm like, I mean, this person's a big deal. I was like, what do you think? Beat it up. I was like, just, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. You're not gonna help me if you don't give me feedback. Like tear it apart. Like just like you're, what's that guy's name? Gordon Ramsay. Like,
yeah.
Like just beat it up, man. And I'm like, fat, salt, acid, sweet, like all everything you could think of. Like, what is it? And he's like, you don't need to change anything.
Wow.
And I was like, shit, like, okay, we got, like, those are the experiences where it's like, these are people that like, I don't know them, but I trust them because, again, their experience specifically with food, tastes, textures, flavors, all these things. And when I've had, a number of people that I would consider, I wouldn't consider, they are professionals, telling me these things, again, those are the little things that have built confidence where you're like, okay, we have a product, like we have a good product. But then when we add those other things that we talked about, the experience, and then bringing back memories, and then communal aspect, friends, family, beer, bringing people together, strangers, everything, that's where it's like this whole thing. So,
are there any resources that you followed? Obviously you were, kind of tweaking your own, but like, what are you doing to test and see like, okay, this is it?
Nothing about my operation is ideal or like to the book.
Okay.
To be like, I really, like, I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. Like, if there's anybody that's trying to get into pizza and learn how to make pizza or anything, like, I'm not advising you do what I did, I guess, if it works for you. Cause like, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Everyone's different, and how people learn is different. What I did is like, I honestly just started intentionally trying to fuck pizzas up to see, like, to test like the levels in which, like, how far can I push the limits in any direction with any specific ingredient, dough, sauce, sausage, anything, to where I'm seeing a noticeable difference in the taste, texture, or any other aspects of the pizza. So I would just start like adding a little more, like too much of this, or letting the dough, ferment at a higher temperature for a longer period of time, or putting it in the fridge. I put dough in the fridge for 2 weeks.
How'd it
and
go?
I've made pizza. Tastes great. I've intentionally over fermented pizza dough to where, like, I'm like, smell it, and I'm like, yo, this smells like alcohol. I'm like, this is not going to be good. And then I made a pizza with it, and I'm like, tastes great. Because I guess the alcohol, like, at the higher temperature, it like cooks off or something. So like, as long as you're cooking that long enough and everything, and I do everything well done, it like cooks off, I guess. I don't know.
It might work for your style, because if you over ferment dough, it won't get the coloring. It might not get the rise. But if you're doing it well done anyway, and you're doing thin style, I guess neither of those matter.
yeah,
I'm shooting
it's
from the
weird,
hip
man.
too. So
I've messed with thickness levels. I've messed with everything just to see what happens. And I'll just try it and I'll be like, cool or uncool. And
that's
so
good.
that's what's really fun for me because again, not coming from like this industry or not being a chef or anything like that, that's what works for me. Again, some people read books. My fiance, she's already read like 20 books this year. It's insane. She loves reading. Reading's like her thing. Before bed, read, read, read. I'm embarrassed. Like I don't read. Like I literally don't read. I like I guess I do, but like I don't. I learn by like literally just like I got these things. I'm gonna
Tactile.
start touching these things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start mixing things. I'm just gonna and then I'm gonna see what happens.
Everyone's a different type of learner, so you got to learn the way you do. And when you get to the point where you can like combine the different types of learning, it may or may not work for you, but you get to learn more, right? I mean, you don't want to
Yeah.
completely like close yourself off to auditory listening because it could, that piece of information could stick a different way. But I
Right.
like what you're doing, testing out the limits, because that's how you find out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, and it's and for me too, like I never really consider myself like I guess artistic in what maybe we as humans consider art, right? Like music, painting, or there, you know what I mean? Like I feel like art is like that, right? Like to a certain degree. I mean, you can take it in different directions, but it's like when I think of art, I think of like music, like you're an artist, you're a musician, or you're somebody who does some form of like a something that goes on a wall, or a statue, or those sorts of things. But as cheesy as this may sound, it's like maybe I've learned like maybe I am artistic, but in like not those ways, but like the freaking pizza dough is like my canvas
Oh yeah,
or something. Somebody said that to me, and I'm like, oh, that shit,
love
that
that.
makes sense. Like maybe that dough, and again, I know it sounds stupid and cheesy or whatever, but like maybe that's like my canvas, like
Oh, for
this
sure it
pizza
is.
dough, and then I'm just like adding sauce and cheese and toppings and baking it, and then you present this thing, which I wouldn't say like there are beautiful pizzas out there, beautiful pizzas. I wouldn't consider my pizza beautiful, but I also don't think it's meant to be beautiful. It's blue collar no frills pizza, man. It's communal pizza. It's that's what it is. That's so. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's kind of weird. It's just maybe I am artistic. I don't know.
It's your
And I
expression,
always
man.
knew, and I always knew like it's weird too because I've never really believed in like maybe a little bit, but like people always say like things happen for a reason, things happen for a reason, things happen for a reason, and maybe a little bit. I do think that for there there's there's luck involved. There's all of these things that are involved, and then but I do think there's an aspect of putting yourself in a position, right? Maybe there's things happen for a reason. There's a little bit of luck, but then there's also putting yourself in a position to potentially succeed, right? And it's weird because I've always wanted to do something. Like I've always wanted to like I've had so many jobs, man. Like it's almost embarrassing. I've tried so many things and like I've liked a lot of things. And I could see myself like I could do this for a long time. But there was always like this thing that was like always kind of bugged me. Not like true. It always just is there in the back of my head where it's like I want to be my own boss. I want to do my own thing. I want this thing like I'm not going to be fulfilled like until I have this thing. I need this thing. And then pizza happened completely like randomly. And it's like I really feel like this is my thing. Like I don't like it's weird, man. I don't know. Like I don't want again, I keep going back to like I sound like a broken record. Like I don't want this to come off the wrong way or anything. Like I don't want to sound like some like oh like I don't even conceited is the right word or anything, but like I get joy out of like it's so cool to see people get pizza and just like it. Like I understand like I got to prepare myself for people that the Yelpers, right? The elite Yelpers.
Oh.
I gotta prepare myself for the elite Yelpers. They're gonna be like this wasn't deep dish. He said he does Chicago style, 1 star. It's gonna be like son of a bitch, man. Like read the menu, thin, crispy, square cut, well done, no substitutions. That's what I do. That's what you get. Tell me you gave me 1 star. That's fine. That's your opinion. But I told you what you were gonna get. Did you not get that? that's like, did you not get that? And that's where it's like, I feel like, and now I'm going off again on a tangent, but like, I gotta prepare myself for that because you can't make everyone happy as hard as you try. Like I need to teach myself that like, that's the goal. The goal is to make something that everybody enjoys. But unfortunately, there's all these other factors that maybe are out of your control that you might not be able to do that. But I think
Absolutely.
to have that goal is okay. I don't know.
Yeah, first of all, it should be a prerequisite for elite Yelpers to be able to read. So, hey, that's your problem. Second, I, you
I
know,
guess it's yeah.
second, something you said earlier just really resonated with me, and I think a lot of listeners here is that it's like we have this sense of like, yeah, there's this thing where we want to be our own boss, run it. It's like, do we take that jump? Do we take that leap? And we're never gonna know until we try. I think one thing you're setting yourself up for is that even though this may be your paradise, this may be it, this may be the thing that you've always been searching for, um, you have to learn to love the process, the daily, the failing, the times where shit, man, people say my pizzas suck or hey, nobody's showing up the door because even people who trade I don't know billions of dollars for a living from hedge funds. I don't know what the fuck they do, but they have shitty days too. But they get paid a lot, and we may think that that's happiness, but no, it's because that's what they do. That is their art. That's their expression. And
Yeah.
if you found your expression and someone's willing to pay for it, or shit, maybe no one's willing to pay for it, but you dig it.
You probably figure out a way to make enough to make ends
Exactly.
meet, I guess.
That's all I wish for, right? I love podcasting. I could take 0 cents from it. I love talking to people and just learning from people and figuring out what they're doing to implement in my life. Sure, you may be doing things completely wrong or doing things completely right, but if I like what you're saying, I'm gonna try it out in my own life and keep living it. And this is fun for me, right? And that's what's important. You have to find something you truly enjoy.
But going back to like keeping it kind of, we're cheesy, no pun intended. We're talking pizza, but
Love it.
also just like we're getting into like, I guess, people a little bit, and as cheesy as it is, man, it's like, dude, we're talking about like you said, you touched on like, oh, hedge fund person, they make a lot of money, whatever, and then I make pizzas, I make enough to make ends meet, whatever. But like at the end of the day, dude, we're all just people, man. We're literally all just people, and I really truly think that like we have so much more in common than we do different, and it's just right now, it's just a really interesting time, and it's like we're focusing on these all the differences, and we're pointing fingers at one another, and we're like, you're the problem, everyone's, it's like damn, we're all just trying to make everyone, I think, and I could be totally wrong, again, who the hell am I, but like people just want to provide for their families, people just want to be comfortable, have food, water, shelter, like that that's how we're all connected. Like those are kind of things, the necessities and things that like humans and kind of that we need. And we're all like super different. Like I mean, touch like traveling is like one of our favorite things to do, Lauren and I and stuff. And like my favorite, dude, I love going to a random bar in like another place I've never been to and just belling up. And we may not even speak the same language, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll talk to one another and then we'll be like, fist bump, cheers, whatever. See you later. And again, as weird as it sounds, man, like we all have to coexist. Like, I don't know, man. It's just weird.
I agree. We do have to coexist.
I guess one thing that kind of somewhat changed the subject a little bit, I didn't even touch on that I forgot to maybe is
Please.
one thing that's important to me and kind of how this all started as well. I also started this around the time of like George Floyd and stuff. And so I was taking those donations and I was donating, and I've also done such a bad job this whole time. Like I literally like I would just watch my bank account and be like, yeah, I think it's pretty even. Because I have to buy all the ingredients, and I would donate money to these charities, and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably breaking even or whatever. So because people would always ask, like, are you taking what it costs you to make a pizza and then donating the rest and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, like I think, like I don't know, I need an accountant to do, or I need
Didn't
a
really matter though.
bookkeeper. And that's the thing where I'm just like, okay, cool. So basically, I would just monitor like my bank account and be like, I don't think we're losing money here. I think we're just kind of breaking even, so we're good. But
Right.
the point is, there's always been a kind of a social aspect to this, to what I've been doing. And to me, it's very important that that continues in one way, shape, or form. And I don't know what that looks like, but for me, what's in my head and what I kind of want to do is when I have my own place, because I'm starting in a tavern, but the goal is to have my own tavern, like where we can do 200, 300 pies a night. You know, if we can build something where we're doing that, that's great. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Nothing hurt. But if that's what I can do with this, that would be amazing. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to hire like kids or high schoolers or something from like underprivileged neighborhoods, and or potentially, I mean, this is just an idea, and they can be the pizza makers and stuff and whatever, and teach work ethic and you know, teach a skill and something. Not that you need to like make pizza for the rest of your life, but I've always had a job. My entire life, I've always had a job as long as I can remember. I mean, I've always had something that I was doing to, I guess, make money, right? And I'm not, again, everyone's journey is different. Everyone's life is different. But I do think that there's really something to say about having a job and kind of learning work ethic. And I don't know if that's kind of a Midwest blue collar thing, but there's something, I don't know, in working in the service industry, I think that's important as well. So you learn that, like, you know, the little things like tipping and those little things of that maybe you wouldn't know if you didn't work in the industry or you didn't have a job like that. So I'd like to provide jobs to or teach skills to people to kind of pass them on, like just to kind of set them up for like the rest of their life, I guess, if that makes sense. So or even people have reached out to me because I put something out on Instagram is like, yo, does anybody have any ideas of like how can I give back in other ways other than just donating money? Because don't get me wrong, donating money is great. If that's what works for somebody, like to donate money and that's going to help, by all means, that's amazing. But I kind of want to do something different where it's not just like, here's a check. How can I help in a different way of like, in just some other way, shape, or form? And I'm still thinking about that, but that is all, like, from the beginning, that's part of how this started, was take donations, then give money back to the community. Well, how can we continue that in one way, shape, or form moving forward?
Maybe that's the question that we leave for the audience, because I don't have the answer. I definitely do understand that there are different ways to give back, whether it's your time or your money. And I see the benefits in both. I see why one is important and why the other is important and why both need to happen. And, you know, one may fit your style more. So let's leave it up to the audience. You know, if you have any ideas for Jerry, shoot him his way, send him over.
Yeah, let me know.
Cool.
Yeah, there's so many directions it can go. I just don't know. And I mean, again, I'm going to start this thing and there's going to be bumps. There's probably going to be a lot of bumps in the road, and you just pivot and you figure it out as you go and you learn. You take feedback from others and I guess you just keep moving forward. But like I said, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, which is funny because if you ask Lauren or you ask friends of mine and stuff, like, I've never been a nervous person. Like I can get up in front of a group of a couple hundred people and just talk, and it's like, whatever, that's not a big deal or anything. But this is different, man. It's just different. Quitting a job and being like, I guess I'm making pizza now. I hope people like it. It's just, I don't know. Yeah.
You got a fun journey ahead of you, but the important thing is I can sense you got good vibes and you're enjoying everything that you're doing. So keep it up.
No, I appreciate that, man.
2 questions before we wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
What's one mistake that people can avoid in the pizza business?
Don't like start making pizza because you think it's gonna like make you rich or something. Because maybe that happens. And if it does, that's cool. But and I've had people tell me, no, it's about making money. Like, it's about making money. And maybe for some, but like I said, personally, for me, it's like, this started from really nothing. It could have ended up being nothing, but it didn't. And now it's getting real and it's turning into something. But I think because it started as just, I'm going to make a couple pizzas in my house for Lauren and I. And then people wanted it. I think that's kept me somewhat grounded in like, I don't need to become rich off of this. Again, we said, if I can make ends meet and we're happy and everyone's happy and people, most importantly, like people are happy with the product and they're coming in and it's bringing people together. Then that's what's most important to me. But if it turns into something more, that's okay too. Like if it ends up, it turns into something much bigger and we're making more money, that's fine too. But again, if you go into it thinking that it's going to be this like thing where we're like get rich quick scheme, or you're following some sort of trend, like you see, oh, Detroit style pizza is amazing, I'm gonna start making Detroit style pizza, I'm gonna open a Detroit style pizza place, I'm gonna become rich. Well, maybe you will, but maybe you won't. And you might also, I don't know, just make sure you like it, like doing it. People have already told me to watch out for, don't overwork yourself. Like don't make, like, you love making pizza, but don't let it get to the point where you don't enjoy it anymore. Because you're working yourself to the bone and you just don't like it. And it's funny because I know myself, and I really don't think that can happen, because I think I'll know when it's time to either hire some people and teach them how to do this, and before I get to the point where like I'm overworking myself. But going back to always having a job, like I genuinely like working. I like that. I enjoy it. And the best thing for me right now is that it's like my thing. This is like my thing. So it's taking work. So like I enjoy working. I've always worked, but now it's like it has more purpose. Like it's my thing. Like if this fails, it's my fault. Like there are factors that can play a part where like things out of my control. COVID, for example, for a lot of small, which sucks. Like seeing restaurants and bars close permanently is the, think about a world without bars and restaurants. I don't even know what you do. Like I literally don't even know what you do. That's literally what I like to do. So I wouldn't even know what to do. But now I'm going off. But yeah, it's something like that's mine, and which adds a little bit of an element of, if this doesn't work, it's your fault. So it adds a little bit of element of pressure, which I actually kind of like in a weird way, where like I have to make this work. Plain and simple, like I have to make this work. So to wrap it all up and summarize that question, again, it probably could have been a simple 1-minute answer. Is, I don't know, just maybe get into it for the right reasons. And those reasons can be different depending on who you are and as a person, and maybe why you're getting into it and everything. But I guess just make sure you're getting into it for the right reasons. That's all.
Yeah, beautiful answer. I am a firm believer now, and I wasn't before, but I'm a firm believer now, and I could be wrong, but I'm a firm believer now of, it has to be process oriented. You have to love the ins and outs, the good days and the bad days. You have to be able to appreciate those, because if you don't, you're in the wrong business, whatever that may be, whether you are, making pizza, sweeping floors, or doing deals, whatever the case may be. You have to love every bit of the process. So thank you for sharing that. What do you want to leave people with today?
I'm just gonna say something like don't be an asshole. And maybe, unless it's warranted, there are obviously situations where it's warranted, where you have to step up and say something and be an asshole. There's just been a lot of negativity in general. It's and I try to always kind of, as cliche as it sounds, look at things, look at the glasses half full, even though honestly my water right now is half empty. Or it's more than, it's like it's almost empty. But just trying to be positive in like every scenario. Like pull out, like you said, there's going to be, as I move forward, and now I'm getting into me actually having my own place and everything, or my own operation, is there's going to be days that suck, and there's going to be issues, and there's going to be bumps and everything, and it's going to suck. But like, what can you take from that? What can you learn from that? And how can you make that like a positive experience? Because it's really easy to be negative, but like how can we make that positive and just like I think we need to listen more to one another. Everyone's so quick to have their opinion about everything, I feel. Literally everything. Or you're categorized into politically, you're left or you're right. That's it. You can't be anything other. You're either this side or that side. When things aren't that black and white, like you can have different opinions and everything like that, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it's important to like listen to one another and try to empathize with one another because everyone's experience is different. And everyone has a different experience. Everyone comes from a different place. And that's okay. And that's what makes it cool, right? Our differences like if we were all the freaking same, think about that. We were literally all the same. How boring would life be?
Very.
Literally, it's like, cool. Like imagine if everyone was a white dude with a mustache who liked the Chicago Bears and Bulls and White Sox. Like, dude, life would suck. It'd be annoying because like I don't know. I know I'm kind of going all over the place. I understand that maybe I'm not answering the question the right way or how it's supposed to be answered, but it's like just listen to one another, empathize with one another on so many different levels. We're talking food, race, religion, everything. Like we don't all have to agree on everything, but I think it's important to understand the difficulties of different people and the prosperities of different people. And I don't know, man, I'm going all over the place now, but just, I think that's what's most important to kind of sum it up is like, just kind of listen to one another, empathize with one another. You can even disagree with one another and still sit down, have a beer and have a tavern style pizza. And that's okay. And that's okay.
If everyone answered the same way, this podcast would be boring.
Yeah.
And if everyone was an asshole about it, then it would be a shitty podcast. So great.
No pun intended.
Jerry, you've been gracious with your time. Thank you so much. It was a great conversation. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And let me know. You got my number. Let me know when you're in Portland, and I'll make you a pie. We can sit down and have a beer. We can chat.
I believe that. Appreciate that. It'll be sooner than later, I believe, because I love going to Portland. So we'll make it happen.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Peace, brother. Be good.
See you later. Thank you.